Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, and we're getting into the spicy stuff when it comes to Cyberpunk 2077. Ladies and gentlemen, the tea, it is officially spilled. All right, so as a lot of you are aware, there's been an article making its way around the web from Jason Schreier of Bloomberg, and in that article, he states that Cyberpunk developer CD Projekt Red is locking in 6-day work weeks until the game's launch to get it out the door. So it's been the topic of discussion across the industry. Is this right? Is this wrong? Quite honestly, I don't think you can pick either because it's a situation with a lot of nuance. Anyway, after the article dropped, it was just a conversation and the situation itself was relatively stagnant up until yesterday, October 9th, where it truly did evolve with a new perspective, a new angle, which really highlighted the potential beauty of investigative journalism. More angles and information for us to consume and get a better idea of what's happening and come to our own conclusion on the topic. Now, last week on the Ham Radio podcast, I talked about this very subject for about 20 plus minutes. I highlighted the entire episode around this very bit of news because I found it quite significant. I'll have it linked in the description down below if you want to go ahead and give it a listen, but it's there that I stated that I don't think you can really say someone's right or wrong. By that I mean, if you are against crunch or overtime of any kind, I think you actually have a leg to stand on here. But on the other end of the spectrum, if you think this is blown out of proportion and that what's happening really isn't that bad, I also get you too. I think both sides have fair arguments. But now with this new angle here, it seems that things have changed a little bit. And there was a back and forth between Liana and Jason. We're going to be going over all of that. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this started by listening to the clip that started it all. It came from a Game Informer podcast. Liana Ruppert was talking all about the whole situation with CD Projekt Red, and she gave her 2 cents along with some information that she picked up.
And from what I understand from talking to a few people there was a discussion on, do we want to delay the game again, or do we want to do this? And from what I heard, it was a mass majority saying that they agreed to the 6-day work week. There's another important aspect, and I will never advocate for crunch. I was in the military where we worked 15, 18-hour days, 7 days a week for 11 to 12 months. I will never advocate for crunch. But also the Polish working system and cultural attitudes towards employment and production is very different than how it is here. And again, not advocating for it, but the attitude in Polish development, even though game development over there is still relatively small, it's very different from the workday basis. And in terms of crunch, everyone I've talked to that's over there has not seen it as a crunch. And from what I'm understanding is that it wasn't just a random drop of this is now mandatory. From what I understand is there was a discussion beforehand about weighing the different options. Did I talk to every single person at CD Projekt Red? No. But there's another important part of this that I really feel like doesn't get addressed, and especially with a lot of those like kind of not clickbait, but like deliberately inflammatory headlines.
To add on to these comments before we give our thoughts on it, Liana said that she's the farthest thing from right wing because somehow this got political. I've also very publicly spoken against CD Projekt Red many times in my career, and it wasn't a dev, it was close to 15 devs that didn't want their names revealed, much like in Jason's report where he kept them anonymous as well. The crunch conversation is so important, and I just wanted to add more context for this particular instance because in a lot of the coverage I was seeing after the Bloomberg report had little to no nuance around it other than just copy and pasting quotes. We're investigative journalists. It's what we are supposed to do. Now, the main highlight out of what she said there is that there was a conversation that happened at CD Projekt Red. It took place deciding, do we delay the game or do we go ahead and just buckle down for 6 weeks and we work a little bit of overtime and just call it there? That was a decision that was apparently made, but then this is where the back and forth starts to play in and where it gets just wild. It just gets crazy. So Jason Schreier responds saying, a Game Informer podcast recently suggested that my reporting of Cyberpunk 2077's crunch is incorrect. I'm going to just stop right there. She never said it was incorrect. She literally said that, hey, it's just another angle. That's not wrong. Never mind that I've interviewed nearly a dozen CD Projekt Red devs. Here's an email from studio head Adam Badowski in June 2020 apologizing to developers' partners for all the overtime. In that letter, Adam states, "Hey, I think there's no need for long introductions for this one. We moved the date again, November 19th, and I know it's a bittersweet moment for many of you. On one hand, we're happy because we've gained the extra time we all know we need for the game to really shine. On the other, we're really sad because it means a longer period of intensive work and we are all running on fumes. I would like to offer you some sort of solve-it-all explanation, but I can't find any. The truth is, we need to finish the game, and we won't finish it for September. What I can offer is telling you this. Each day we spend on polishing the game visibly pays off. We've just started the previews, and first impressions are very, very enthusiastic. And it's all because of your extreme dedication over the last weeks and days. I hope that when the previews drop on the 25th of June, we all get an extra confidence boost. The main portion, if I could wish for anything, I would humbly ask for you to endure in the effort to deliver the game. I would also like to extend an apology to your partners and ask for their support as well. Dear partners, I am fully aware that the hard work of your loved ones often means that they cannot participate on the home front, but I promise this is the last stretch and the finish line is near. All this work is going to lead Cyberpunk 2077 becoming one of the, if not the most memorable games of this generation. I am sure of that. Yours, Adam." So the real reason I think this became a full conversation and not just like one avenue is because CD Projekt Red said about a year ago that they want their workplace to be more humane. And that wording in itself kind of highlights that it was inhumane in its own right there. So all this letter did to me was tell me nothing. I've known for a while, and I've always said for a while, and people have condemned me for it, but I think CD Projekt Red talks out of both ends in their mouth. They say one thing, they do another very frequently. Do they do right by the consumer a lot? Yes, and for that, I appreciate them. Anyway, like I said, there was a bit of a back and forth here. Liana asked for the context of this post here. She states that it's not there in the tweet, and this is why she doesn't do a lot of takes on Twitter. Too much nuance gets shelved, too much context gets lost, and it's so disappointing for her to see. Jason Schreier says, a company embracing crunch culture doesn't make it evil or malicious or an industry villain, but I've never seen so many people jumping through the hoops to try to deny or underplay the reality the way they're doing for CD Projekt Red in Cyberpunk 2077. And Liana says, I've never seen someone jump through as many as you do when looking to misrepresent situations. You know exactly how you worded this tweet, and you know it doesn't align with what was said. Not sure when you became a bully, but it's a real shame because you are so incredible. All right, I'm gonna stay on topic here. All right, I'm gonna focus on Cyberpunk 2077 because it's getting emotional out here, right? What I'm focusing on here is what Jason said. I think is to some extent true. There are people who go, The Witcher 3 is absolutely incredible. Because of that, CD Projekt Red, they can throw my brand new puppy out the window. I don't care as long as I get my game. And that's kind of why it led to a lot of people becoming more critical, I think, of this company, because a lot of people were sick of that attitude. Also, there was a follow-up tweet that Liana emphasized that she didn't even call out his coverage specifically, which if you listen to the whole part of the podcast, she did not, highlighting that a lot of the reaction coverage didn't show the whole story. And she also makes sure she emphasizes that she's not defending crunch, which I think she said like at least 4 times. Now, here's the icing on the cake, right? Like this is, you think we're going down one path, we've got it all, we've got 2 angles here, maybe some people are disgruntled, some people don't care. Then Jason Schreier throws this curveball out here. To clear up another point, I asked a couple of CD Projekt Red devs if it's true that the majority of them wanted 6-day work weeks over a delay. They said the conversation never took place. One said, we got the email and then a meeting with our team leaders. It was never an option or a question. Once again, like we got both sides here, right? Anti-crunch and people who are like, this is overblown, right? This is a point to anti-crunch potentially, because the way I look at it is the issue with crunch is that you don't have a say. And if you do have a say, it's kind of like the Rockstar situation where they're like, well, you don't have to do it, but you're kind of not going to collect like a $50,000 paycheck at the end of the year, or sometimes way, way more than that. So, yeah, if you don't want to, you don't got to, but yeah, get to work, right? So like, that's kind of the problem when it comes to crunch culture, I think. Quite frankly, is that it's not even the overtime. As someone who's worked on tons of passion projects, I know YouTube videos and game development are 2 completely different things. I've worked a little bit on the game dev side of things, not to say I've worked on something like Cyberpunk, don't get me wrong. But as someone who works on in a passion-driven field, right, I find myself often pushing myself those extra couple of hours just because I want to get it done, or because I want to go ahead and feel good about what I've done, or not leave a sense of something left undone, right? Like there's a feeling there, and it's just because I care about what I'm working on. Once again, I'm not saying that one creation is the same as the other. I know my YouTube videos are a lot easier to make than a game like Cyberpunk 2077, which takes a lot of heads and a lot of talented people. So I also understand the notion that these people have worked since 2012 on the game. They are probably hyped to get this thing out the door, and they have every right to celebrate it. It's just gone gold, and they should be excited about it. So yeah, the situation, it's crazy. Like I said, I really stand by my point in the beginning of this video. I think this is a situation where you can't really say who's right, who's wrong. I'm not pro crunch. I've never been pro crunch. I don't think a human sacrifice, a mental health sacrifice, a physical sacrifice is worth the product. I think delays should be considered, but I also understand you're getting down to the final stretch. We've seen the huge bonuses that CD Projekt Red employees will be receiving for what is effectively, I think, 6 extra days of work, and it does come at the sake of their families, but once the game's out the door, then they will be good to go with a pretty penny in tow. And I don't know, I don't think it's a bad deal. Plus, when you account for some of the Polish labor laws people have brought up, where you can have a limited amount of overtime when it comes to Poland, and it works very differently compared to here, at least where I am in the United States. It is a whole different approach to how the work is handled, where I think we're going to need a source to really come out and speak on how exactly CD Projekt Red handles the overtime application to their employees, so to speak. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, just a crazy topic. It just keeps developing. I'm sure we will see more over the weekend. I imagine Jason will not just let his story go down like this. I'm sure he will reach out to many sources and come out with a second piece. We definitely know that'll benefit him in more ways than one. And of course, it'll benefit us to get more information, right? That's what it's all about. It's a game of information. So thank you to both Liana and Jason for their hard work in getting these important stories out there and providing important perspectives as well. I think Liana did a great job here. I think she absolutely helped open the doors on this conversation, where a lot of us, I started to develop my own suspicions. At first, I was like, come on, CD Projekt Red. Like, I'm not surprised at all, but this is something where I don't need to see this keep happening. None of us want to see this keep happening. But then over time, I started to develop some suspicions of, is it as bad as I really thought it was initially? And this kind of kicked the doors open on that. So it's a great job of reporting by both sides. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I leave it to you. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. Big thank you to all of the patrons, all of the members who continue to really push the limits of this channel. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. Thank you so much, and I'll talk with you soon. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.